What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your daily creative reading for November 7th. Back to my face from just my hands organizing some things post move, and it seemed to be working out. So, here we go. We're doing this. Let's see where we go first. Yeah, we'll do this one. And I believe we are on to Aquarius in terms of the signs. Now, I don't know what you thought of combining the two. I find that a lot of collective readings tend to be more my bread and butter. So I might just go back to that, but I wanted to try something new. But I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. So I wanted to finish all the zodiacs. To be fair, actually it's Capricorn. Did I do Capricorn or Sagittarius? Yes, I did. Aquarius we'll do today as well. So we have ninth house. Some Sag energy right there. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives and Aquarius? Virgo, digest. That came out for somebody else as well. Can't remember which sign, but Pluto and rebirth. Oh, love this energy. So good. I feel like there may be a lot happening right now. With the ninth house and exploration, I see this expansion, but then Pluto might make you want to contract. But I think that Plutonic energy, at least the energy of Pluto in terms of that sort of, it's almost like it gets too close to this like part of us that tender-hearted part of us, beneath different experiences that can be quite challenging, not necessarily Saturnian, but that can be really tough. Now, I almost feel like this is sort of, I don't want to say Virgo is implying caution, but it feels a lot like, taking stock, I feel like separating the wheat from the chaff. I don't know what that phrase is from, but that's what I get here. It's almost like there's a harvest, but this is interesting that it's digest. It's almost like there's I want to say a bit of a harvest, but not in the sense of like reaping anything in particular. It's like your refining process. Like I think about the refining of grains and how that's arguably one of the things that has caused gluten intolerance for some folks is that refining process, where it's like the way that it's done changes the way that it's absorbed in the system. And I almost feel like that might be something that's happening with lessons that you're learning right now. You're seeing that your process changed the way that you were absorbing things into your system or into your energy at least. And not necessarily in a way that is, by osmosis and against your will or anything like that. It's really just looking at how you take things in and looking at how things arrive both in your consciousness and the way that you might pick up on the energy around you. So let's take a look here. Which one, Spirit? Oh, I really like this one. The Lightseer's deck. So good. So good. I feel like it's a Mars retrograde, but I feel like it's just like delicious. Like it feels like there's, I don't know, creativity abounds, my friends. Creativity abounds. Okay, so we're kicking it off with the world. No big deal. But there's this Saturn energy, right? The world. That's kind of the call to adventure. And it's like, I think this is a call to a little bit more disciplined, to be, amidst an ending and a realization of your truth. The call is to kind of be a little bit more disciplined, which does, touch on the Virgo energy here in terms of discernment, right? Discernment and discipline might be the kind of order for the day. Either today or upcoming, specifically with, I think it's the full moon on the 7th. A lot of folks are talking about it, and, I don't know, but yeah, something to keep in mind. And then 7 of Wands. So this is another energy of discernment, right? This is the refusal. And this is literally looking like a refusal, right? Like, no, thank you. But this is also an advocacy card. It's like prioritizing. Part of your process may be prioritizing, right? What's most important? Is this thing most important so then you can address this? Or, looking at that and looking at how you've prioritized different things amidst, I want to say, epiphanies or different realizations, specifically with the rebirth energy here of Pluto. Yeah. Let's see what else comes up here. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives, please? Ooh. The Emperor. That's another part of your refusal. Another part of your refusal. It's very interesting. It's like going from being an advocate, and this could just be like trying to filter. What's coming to mind is Lucille Ball with the chocolate factory, that clip where all of the chocolate's coming down the thing and they're trying to do all the things with it and they can't, so they just start eating it. And it's almost like that's what I get the Seven of Wands as being right now, is like that energy of trying to sift through things really, really, really quickly, but there's like a centered way that you're doing it. It's not an overwhelm, but then there's a way that you're understanding that you can control the belt itself and how fast things are coming on the belt. So it's like you're understanding something about the fine tuning and the machinery. And that's giving you more of an emperor energy, not in terms of control and stubbornness, but in terms of an ability to fine tune the process so that it's neither overwhelming nor, focused solely on productivity, but one that is fruitful and generative. Thank you so much. That's the word that I'm looking for, generative, so that it's generative, perhaps even regenerative for you. Spirit, what messages do you have about the tower that could become Queen of Swords? Something that what could become a tower if it goes unchecked in this spread is the Queen of Swords. And I'm getting that in this particular configuration, there's a certain clarity, right? Of course, when we prioritize and we sift through these things, we see clarity coming through. And when that clarity comes through, it's not just about clear vision, clear sight. I mean, you could be working with the clairs, right? Claircognizance, clairaudience, I think it's alliance. It's escaping me, but nonetheless, there's some kind of clarity. And part of what could become a tower if it goes unchecked, I think, is relying too much on knowledge outside, like external facing knowledge. This is at once clarity, but I also feel like the Queen of Swords is clarity that comes from both an internal process, yes, but I feel like it's also an analysis card because of the swords, right? It's the air element. As an Aquarian, I'm an overthinker. But I think it's moving from, it could be overthinking that becomes the tower. I just heard the tower becomes you. The tower becomes you. That's kind of a compliment, though. And with the Pluto energy here, I mean, that it could be that there's some kind of tower that's not necessarily falling, but it's almost appearing condemned. I don't know what I'm picking up on. Maybe there is thoughts, or maybe there are thoughts or beliefs that you have that I'm smelling like mashed potatoes and Salisbury steak. What? Okay, hold on. We're just going to clear that. And it's weird because I have two candles. I have one here and then I have one here. So I don't know why that was very clear. Like, or like a steak, like a meat and a gravy. Anyway. What was I saying? Yeah, condemned. I almost feel like there's this sense of, there's a sense of recognition that it's not about this isn't working and this is working. I think you're looking at the things that you've been trying to hang on to and trying to refinish and redo. And there's sort of like, it's not just a letting go, but a rebuilding. And I think what could become a tower if it goes unchecked about this energy in particular is if you rely too heavily. It's like while you're in this rebuilding place, if you build walls, and it's not like build bridges instead of walls. It's not like that necessarily because every solid foundation requires walls, right? Like the four, or more, right? Depends on the structure itself, but it requires a certain stability that comes from that. So it could also be second guessing yourself and questioning, well, is this a wall? Is that a wall? Is this a wall? And you need to tune into more of how you're feeling about it, right? And that could be part of where the discipline comes from. I see the Queen of Cups. Spirit, what message do you have for my daily creatives, please? Ooh, we got two jumpers. So we have the Star and Judgment. Okay. It's just a lot of majors. It's no big deal. It's just the Emperor, the Star, and a couple others. So we have the Star and Judgment, which are your best. It's kind of like your best assets right now internally, which is more air energy with the Star. But I feel like it's like decision that's fueled by hope, decision that's fueled by something higher, by intention, right? The Star is like intentionality. So it's the fuel of intentionality. The fuel of intentionality. That's not what I meant to say, but I'll take it. Where it's like intentionality. I'm hearing rubber meets the road. It's like where rubber meets the road, but where your intention is grounded in something that sort of comes through a really important decision. And decisions can come through in terms of like do this and not that, or do this or that. But there's a certain intentionality and flow that comes when you see you're clear about what you want, right? You're clear about what you want. But the intention is a little bit of your why, right? That's the big picture. I have it in my pile of books over here a little bit, but The Power of Intention. No, it's right here. Surprise, surprise. I got this from the library nearby, and I've been rereading it. What I didn't know is that this was actually something that I was rereading another of his books. And one of the things he said was that he channeled this book when he was going through a really rough patch. And it's such a brilliant work. And I think about intention in terms of, did he know that he was going to channel this book and that it would have so much meaning? And I think about intention, and it's not about channeling something knowing that it's going to have this massive impact. It's just knowing that you want to, this is what you want for it. This is what I think about a podcast that I was listening to. I believe it was Tom Bilyeu's podcast, where he had Ed Milet on. And I've told this story before, but I think it's just such a brilliant example here because of the Star and Judgment coming through. Where Ed Milet was sitting on the beach in, I think it was Maui, and Wayne was on the beach too. And they were just hanging out. And, super casually, just hanging out with Wayne Dyer. And Ed was talking about all these things that he wanted to do, and Wayne said, he said, like, you're going to do all those things and more, but if you don't have confidence, essentially he said this, if you don't have confidence in what you have right now in terms of skills, have confidence in your intentions. And I feel like that's kind of what this message is here, Judgment and the Star, more Pluto energy, BT dubs with the Judgment card here. It's a very technical term, BT dubs. But I feel like that's kind of the message is this, like, I feel like there's so much, and it's not just like dreams that I've had that have told me this, and it's like literally when you look, like, you gesture vaguely at the world and you know that there's so much uncertainty and so much of the path is not clear, not at all clear. And I think what we're going to need to do is kind of like steering by starlight is what I'm hearing. Steering by starlight. And I think that we may need to, or may find ourselves in places and positions where we're relying more on intention to pave the pathway, because there are so many systems and structures that are not necessarily, it's like they're breathing their last breath in terms of how we're rebuilding. Not just post-pandemic, but certainly brought forward by it. So, there's my baby. But it's really about what is the intention that we have. So it's not just about dreaming for yourself. That is part of it, but it's also the collective dreaming that we're doing collective dream work, right? And it's not just about like when we all sleep, this is what comes to the fore. It's about what is it that we're pulling from this imaginary place, this collective imaginary. What is it that's in there? And how are we changing it and making it even just slight tweaks and differences? How are we shaping this for something more and something better and bigger, and not in terms of like these systems of production and reproduction that are like more, because we know that more isn't always necessarily what we need, right? I've heard I've heard studies and stories actually from different places that there's a certain amount that you can make in a year, and usually that's what people cap off at because they're happy. They can afford to live somewhere. They have what they want, right? So it's like, I almost feel like we've reached the threshold of like to the other side of the spectrum in terms of too much. And now we're kind of moving the needle back to a more humane or human place. We're restoring humanity, restoring a kind of humanity in different systems. And it may not feel like that because all that we see, I'm seeing these roots being ripped up, but they're not, they're very surface roots. Like they're very surface. So the ones that sound like a snap when you pull them up, because they don't go as deep as you might have thought, or we might have thought. Yeah, that's all off of that card. That's a lot. Yeah. It could be collective dreaming, right? And what greater and more beautiful creative act is there than to look at the regenerative capacity of the human imagination in the face of all the systems that are falling apart that never worked in the first place. Sonia Renee Taylor talked about how, do we want to go back to normal after the pandemic? Because for a lot of people, normal wasn't working. And that's kind of what I'm getting here. Like, I feel like it could be shifts that are happening, or I don't like, anyways, I feel like there are going to be world events that take place that are going to push us to these places. And they already have, right? They already have. And not to sound like doom and gloom, because that's not what that is for. That's not why that information's been coming through in dreams and otherwise. But I think that collectively we have an opportunity, and I think that, yeah, I'm hearing like rearranging debts. Like it's almost like we're, it could be national debt. Something along those lines. I'm getting the same. So, right before Roe versus Wade, that news dropped, I had a vision of someone running up a set of courtroom steps, and that same feeling and then that vision just came to mind as well. So it could be something to do with national debt, but it's like a relational thing. It's not the number itself. There's some kind of relational piece to it. Okay, Spirit, can you clear that? Thank you. So the protagonist, Spirit, what's the protagonist energy here? Whoa. So we have the Six of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles. Healing our relationship to Mother, I'm hearing Earth Mother. But if you're like me and you're non-binary, you're like, what the heck? Why are we gendering it? But for many people, it is that. So I'm just going to say it that way. But it's like healing relationships to the earth, healing our relationship to the earth. There might be something about a shift. This is coming through again with national debt. I don't know why, but it could be a shift in resources or resource provision. And it's like restoring a kind of innocence to connection. There might be a shift in priorities. And I'm not just talking about like fossil fuels to, electric vehicles. My phone is going off. Very popular here. Anyways. So that's not true at all. But I feel like there's something that's coming off of this as like restoring a certain innocence to our relationship, or remembering the innocence of our connection and relationship. Now, if you're in Ontario, they've been talking about bulldozing much of the Greenbelt in terms of in favor of housing and development. So I feel like that could be news that if you focus too heavily on the negatives of that, it will stop the activism that can take place from within that to protect land, and also to protect watersheds in the process as well. Because a lot of watersheds are going to be, I often don't take selfies. I don't take a lot of selfies. I prefer to take photos of my shoes on the earth, because that to me is a deeper sign of your politics, because that's something that you can't escape. And not to tie yourself to your politics, but it's your relationship to the earth, right? So it's your relationship to the earth. And I feel like the protagonist energy is perhaps that there's been a neglect of this, a neglect of our relationship to the earth. And this could just be, it could be as, bringing it down to the micro. Get outside more, put more plants in your space, connect to the earth more, right? Yes. And I think too that specifically in Canada, that also means respecting Indigenous ways and teachings, and bringing that back to the fore where it gets disconnected in policy and a lot of different things. And I feel like feel like that's the restoration. There's like I'm hearing Schumann resonance. I don't hear the resonance, but it's like I'm seeing the lines. Like I feel like there have been like it's almost like an erratic, something erratic about it. And there's something it's going to be like stabilizing again. Something about it stabilizing again. Oh, Chicken Little wants to come up. Do you want to come up, baby? She's trying to decide. That's fine. Yeah. What's the main challenge here, Spirit? What's the main challenge? I'm hearing migration. I was looking at this here in terms of expansion, and I saw the birds, and it was like a migration interrupted. Like that was the thought that I got. A migration interrupted, and then 5 of Cups is the main challenge with that thought coming through. I saw monarch butterflies, and I don't know if there's going to if like I don't know if there's some kind of restorative or regenerative in terms of building and things like that, and restoring our relationship to the planet. There we go, 10 of Cups. That's positive. It's almost like something is going to be coming back. Like I had dreams a while ago about the Calamithia bee, which is like unique to Florida. It's blue. So it was like a blue shimmering bee that was in my dreams. And one of them, and I looked it up, and they thought it was extinct. And then it turns out that it had actually come back, and scientists had discovered it all over again, right? So it was quite miraculous. And I feel like maybe there's something about like there's like miraculous things that are going to start to happen, or that have been happening, and that we just haven't been seeing it, or something along those lines, where this is where it's like I feel like there's something that might restore our connection. There's something, it's very strong. That is antagonist energy. But I think that if we neglect or overlook or dismiss these things and say, oh, that happens all the time, what we're missing out on is looking to the earth for innovative, regenerative information about how we can then improve our own systems. There's a book that's coming to mind that I was reading, and it's about innovation and nature, and how nature is provisional of these innovative ideas and creative sparks in terms of engineering and things like that. And again, Indigenous communities have talked about this forever, so it's not new. But there is a new book about this, so it's worth checking out. I'll put the link I'll put the title in the description below. But anyway, so I feel like, and this is where it's like overlooking disappointments. Like it's like I'm hearing tipping point, which would make sense with the tipping of these in. It's like a tipping point where it's not about perspective, but it's about connection to the planet and our why. It's about our collective why. And it's like we have to see the ace that we have, which is potential, which is possibility. We have to see the ace, because there's going to be so many reasons that we have to look at what's no longer applicable or can no longer work. But we can't look at those things because it's like there's something more that we need to be focusing on. Big messages coming through today. I started meditating more recently, and it turns out things are loud and clear. It almost like I'm mad about it, but I'm not. So 5 of Wands is the challenge, like overcoming the challenge. And I almost feel like this is like, it's like, I see this as different parts of a system working together. Like this typically represents the challenge, right? The challenges and conflict. It represents a lot of conflict. You gonna come up, sweetheart? Come on. She's still deciding. What? You can. I know the cards are out, but you can come up. That's okay. I get this as conflict, but I feel like what this is more is like all the different parts that might have been competing against each other. There may be something that will require or necessitate working together. And I'm not talking about like towards and because of some greater evil. It's not about that. I feel like there's like a recognition of more. And I woke up this morning and I looked at my watch and it was 5:55 a.m. and I'm just seeing the 2 5s here. So there could be some significant changes taking place. And that's part of the overcoming, like the overcoming and the challenge or the changes. The changes, it could be changes to systems, it could be changes or disruptions, but not disruptive overly. It's just requiring a shift in thinking. Perceptivity, I'm hearing. Precognition. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives, please? What are we waking up to here as a collective and individually? Nine of Swords, the ending, the beginning of the ending. But again, when we think about, it's like, look at I'm seeing the white bird here. And I see it as like almost a surrender of consciousness, a consciousness surrender that's taking place. Not even a release, but it's almost like I'm seeing these birds flying out of a cage that they've been in for a really long time at a collective consciousness level. And the white is the white. I don't like saying that. Anyways, I feel like there's one that represents, that's like free now, not just to dream, but free now to do more, it's like, I'm hearing carrier pigeon. My guides are hilarious. But I'm getting that it's like there's something more to hope for. 6 of Swords just flew out onto the 9 of Swords. And that's where I feel like this is a lot of like, take whatever's on your back energy. So it could be like migration that's coming through again, migration. It could be that there's like a migration pattern that's changing. There could also be specific things happening with the weather where we are going to need to open up our doors in different ways. Like this is not new at all. But in terms of environmental refugees and how environmental justice is going to start to play out amidst different climate changes and climate changes as a result of just the way that the earth is changing, which is obvious, but I feel like the 6 of Swords is as much a moving away as it is towards, but the devil is on the bottom, and that's Capricorn energy, so it could be something that happens in Capricorn season. But I feel like I just saw a glacier, part of a glacier coming off. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot that is just unseen here. And I think the devil is like, it's not even the better angels of our natures. I feel like this is where we're going to be collectively confronting different beliefs that we have that have held us back in terms of helping one another. And it's like, the devil can represent a ton of different things, but it's like, I want to say cultural obsessions on the one hand, but there's also just this inclination towards the stuff that doesn't matter, right? The stuff that doesn't matter and the ways that it keeps us bound, right? It's this bound energy. And I feel like this is all coming out. It's so much sword energy, and it's like we've been stuck in our heads, and I think that there's an invitation to drop into your heart center and to drop into your heart. And I feel like that's happening on a collective level, just with the transitional energy here. And also with the world, like I feel like this, I mean, on the one hand, the call to adventure here is the world, which can be representative of travel or, global events, but this is also Saturnian lessons. And I feel like perhaps, if you count it back, is it's hard to clock the dawn of a civilization. I was watching a John Green video last night, actually, on Instagram that talked about how our modern history in humanity represents 2% of the Earth's history. Wrap your head around that, right? So is the collective going through a Saturn return? And, there's a Pluto return that happened in the States this year, but I feel like there's like a collective Saturn return. And it could be, part of the baby boom generation. Like it could be a generational thing that I'm picking up on with that. But it feels like it's something more like when we say like in early, like, our civilization's history, are we talking about Western civilization? Because that was like a lot of colonial history that wiped out other civilizations' histories at the same time. So what does that actually mean in terms of How are we referential? Like, what's the historicity or the historicity and the referentiality going on there, right? This is a lot that's coming through. Some people might be like, damn it, I just want to know if I need this insurance policy. I can't help you. I don't know. But I feel like it's like there's going to be maybe like a feeling like it's like better the devil you know than the one you don't. So there could be policies that are changing that represent that, that way of thinking. And as much as you might think that it's like this abstract thing is like getting involved in local politics and whatnot, I can assure you that it's like everyday, ordinary people making a difference. And I say that they do have money, right? They do have money to run for office and all of that stuff. And not to downplay that, but I will say that I know a lot of folks who just decided that they wanted to make the community better. So they ran for office and won and got in. So don't underestimate the capacity of you to make a difference in terms of something that seems as abstract as policy or these kinds of decisions. Because I feel like it's almost like I'm hearing glitch in the matrix. It's like there's like it's almost like the system can't see itself. That's how this is coming across. Like we're waking up to the way the system can't see itself, right? We have the 9 of Swords, and then we have the 6 of Swords. And then we have the 2 of Swords and the 8 of Swords. And I feel like this also is reminding me specifically of policy in Canada, where if you follow Canadian politics at all, just for those who are here, and there was recent, there's been more, attempts at taking the real crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women in Canada seriously in the wake of a serial killer that was they found out that he was, it's horrendous. And I feel like that's what's kind of showing up here, where it's like, it's almost like, are we learning from the spirits of these women who have passed? And the system, it's like it can't see itself. And I feel like that in a more microcosmic way could apply to Canadian politics. I see the devil not necessarily as representing politics, but I feel like it can represent, in my mind, our connection to systems that dictate how and who we should be, that we confuse. It's like the collective ego that gets wrapped up in these systems. This is like a 32-minute reading, and I haven't even gotten into the signs yet. Oh my gosh. There's just a lot coming through here, so forgive me. But also, sorry, not sorry. It's just coming through. There could be opportunities to participate in policy development locally that could impact, or, and even just having conversations with elected representatives. Like, what's the tentacularity? What's the tentacular connections to the system, as it were, that you can have an impact through, even if it's just one that feels safer for you? What's that? Because I feel like there's going to be more that will make you want to get involved, and not in a way that is vitriolic or angry, but it's like understanding. There's a way that there's like an understanding coming through more. Spirit, what additional message? What's the main thing we're waking up to here? We know what we're waking up to in terms of the systems, and it's almost like, I feel almost like this, like it's like this whisper. I don't want to say like, I don't want to say mind control, because that implies power over in a way that's like that doesn't work that way necessarily. But I almost feel like there's a way that the systems have gotten into our egos and makes it so that there's almost like this callback program where it's like something will hit, and it like there's like a switch that's flipped, and then it's like those behaviors get activated. It's just triggers, right? It's just triggers, but that's how it's kind of coming through right now. So it's like maybe there's programming that you're leaving behind, or you're waking up to the ways it didn't work, and you're seeing where it would like cause these glitches in your own matrix or something along those lines. And that's where I feel like this rebirth, right? This rebirth. And I feel like this exploration is a big one. Like, it's like uncharted territory on the one hand, and it is a lot to digest with this Virgo card here, but this rebirth, I almost feel like there's wow. The Empress is on the bottom, and I was like, there's something coming. Like, and I feel like it's like, which sounds, there's something coming. It's not like that. It's like, there's like a birth, or again, like a rebirth. Page of Wands, Empress. There's like a rebirth energy here of something. Could be, and honestly, like, I'm picking up on so much collective energy, but if it's like brought back down, it's almost like it could just be a rebirth of your creativity, the freedom to be curious again, a sense of inner freedom. Sense of inner freedom. You know, I was thinking about it while walking around the apartment this morning, just puttering a little bit. And one of the things that came through was that there are no real like creative ideas. They're all questions that generate that, like, well, there are creative ideas, but it's like it all starts with these questions, right? And the Page of Wands strikes me as this curious questioner. This curious questioner. Okay, Spirit, what messages do you have in terms of the main themes we're waking up to? That is so many cards. Let's okay, there's a lot. So I have the Hanged Man, Ten of Pentacles, the Fool, the Four of Wands, and the Knight of Swords. And what's coming through is almost like this suspended judgment. We've had this suspended judgment. Maybe it's going to require a certain suspended judgment on your part in terms of assigning meaning to the things that you're seeing and the things that play out. Because I don't know that it's like, because it's new, we don't have, if we assign the same things that we've always had to what starts to unfold, what will start to happen is this sort of disconnect. And I feel like there's more, there needs to be more focus on celebration and a sense of community. You know, the Four of Wands can represent relationship and stability, but it can also, in my mind, represent pillars of community. And I almost feel like there's a realignment of that and then forward movement on it in terms of not just intellectual capacity, but then moving onwards. Like there's like this moving ahead with something. Could be more collective facing, but I think this could just be, you know, suspending your judgment and then a re-engagement with meaning, or adjusting your meaning based on where you want to go with this Fool energy. Four of Wands is that stability. Could be friendship here as well, right? A sense of friendship, celebration, celebratory energy coming together. And I think it's like redefining the pillars of community and how they, and like the music that they make and what they mean. I just got this vibe of like, this is so strange. I got this vibe of like specific policies and things like that. You know, right now, like the way, this is so specific. Once upon a time, I read a book when I was in grad school called Divided Province, and it talked about how, you know, the provincial funding went down to cities, and it changed with specific, like over time and with access to funds and things like that. And I almost wonder if there's going to be like a rearranging slowly, not just of funding, but of how the government defines itself and in its relationship to community, and how the meaning, there might be an opportunity for more restorative justice, or at the same time more community driven initiatives that hold a seed for something bigger in future. So that could be a possibility as well. That was coming through quite strong. Yeah, so 38 minutes. Oh my goodness. And you know, this is very apropos, Aquarius. Your reading starts right now, 38 to 27. I mean, it's all about community for Aquarius, right? I mean, not all about, but that's our jam, right? 11th house, community, friendship, that kind of idea. So, Aquarius, let's do this. So, so we have all of this now. The journey to love. I was compelled to pull from this deck for you, Aquarius. So let's see where this goes. Across the waters. Yeah, it was like watershed. There might be something to do with Greenbelt development. And why is this coming through as collective? Oh my gosh. There might be something to do with Greenbelt development in Ontario, and something that changes the watersheds. It could also be something that leaches into them from development and something along those lines. Across the waters can also just mean consciousness too. So it could be that there's something that is happening that's raising consciousness. There might be raising awareness. But also, if this is more personal, I feel like across the waters can represent, travel. It could also just represent allowing yourself to drift through and across the consciousness, or your your emotions, letting yourself drift in your emotions as opposed to, or like upon the surface of them, right? So that you're not like finding a vessel, a cup, remembering that you are a cup, that you are the vessel, and you're traversing the landscape of your consciousness and emotions, as opposed to feeling like you're swimming in them without a life raft or support system. Like there's a way that you're able to separate yourself from that now, sufficient that you can then dream. Like there's something about the dreaming here. Shakti, yeah. The dreaming, and this is also foundation building to me, foundational life force, but also potentially foundational in terms of again, it goes back to consciousness. Like there's like this base material. Like I'm thinking back to, like well beyond the 2% of civilizational history that would have been part of Earth's history, and how when you go back to that sort of base level where it's like just bacteria, like it's like just bacteria. We're all related to bacteria, but I'm sure there's a joke in there for the holidays for some people. But it's like back to that foundational piece where it's like when you take everything away, what is left, right? What's left? So let's see where else we go here. So we have Shakti, Spirit. What other messages do you have for Aquarius, my Aquarian peeps? Sacred convergence. Yeah. This could just be literal. It's coming through as the Four of Wands, but the sacred convergence, it's almost like it could be like a meeting of ascended masters or something like that. You could start to see, you could have opportunities or invites to come together in a sense of community for a cause or a purpose. You might want to take those up, not to make it necessary. I mean, like to connect with people, with like-minded folks. But I feel like there's something that might be a higher cause there. There could also just be like a conference that you want to go to that's across a pond or across a watershed or across the distance or something like that. And you sense or feel a connection to it that kind of surpasses the everyday, where it's foundational to your being. There's almost like a resonance. Like I'm seeing like a light in you flicker, and then a light in other people flicker at the same time. Like there's a recognition. There's a recognition there. Soul family, possibly. Eruption of light. Isn't that interesting? I almost see this as, I think it's called light pillars when it's really cold. When it's really cold, there's like light pillars at night. And it's this really cool phenomenon. But it makes it almost look like there's like extraterrestrial influence or things along those lines. So, but it could be something to do. I'm hearing solstice, winter solstice. So the 21st, there could be something along those lines where there's light pillars, but it could be pillars of light. Ooh, that's... I'm questioning it, and it's just coming through. Why am I doing that? Why am I questioning it? I'm almost getting that there's like channeled messages, or there's something that's coming through on the 21st through certain people or through certain communities that needs to be really heeded and heard. And it's not like pillars of light. It's like representative of a source of light that can be seen at a distance, or that can be seen from afar, that needs to be heeded, or that will be healing to integrate or heed, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm compelled to read Eruption of Light to you. It's an 11 card, unsurprisingly. It feels like an 11 card in my heart. So, your every prayer is a power-packed eruption of light beamed into the divine presence. Some pray with fear or doubt, as though the prayer is not doing much at all. Yet you understand that prayer is powerful, that it is divine action set in motion. Your power of divine prayer emerges from your heart and out through your throat, whether you speak or sing your prayer silently within your own mind, or aloud for all the world to hear. Let your prayers be vocalized as feeling expressed to the divine, in words or song if you choose. You have the power to heal at your fingertips and vocal cords. Through your voice you can heal. Let your hands be joined in prayer position at your heart and your mouth open to let the breath of your spirit move through your throat, creating sound. As you speak it, so it shall be. This oracle holds a message for you. Your words have more power than you may realize, and you have a special ability to heal with words, to bring light where it is needed, and to uplift through simple kindness spoken. You also have a message to bring. It might be an urge to write or speak on topics that are close to your heart. You may also simply have a need at a soul level to share from the heart with others when you are engaged in conversation. The oracle says your voice is part of your power. Do use it. And then I love this. There's a little poem. Life begins with love. To complete itself again, symmetry is born. Life begins with love. To complete itself again, symmetry is born. So yeah, I feel like, and what I'm thinking of is like council of light is what I heard. And then while I was reading that, I thought about light codes and how, some folks have an ability, like, and you can sense this. I've gone to different, services and things like that, where you have one or two singers whose voices seem to transcend something, and it's so healing that it's like, it doesn't just give you goosebumps. It feel like it's transcendent, like it takes you to a place. And I feel like there's something about that in song. There's something about that in song, and I'm seeing I'm seeing the show Sense8. Oh my God, don't watch that show around kids. I mean, like, you can if you want to, but it's a great show, but there, I feel like there might be something along those lines where there's like a waking up of more folks. Like, it could be some kind of spiritual awakening that's happening, like a sort of like when you pull up the root, it's like the dirt goes flying, and it's like the uprooting of something, and then there's this way that it's like the after effect is that other plants are able to grow. I don't know how this is coming through the way it is, but here we are. Yeah, it could be a greater awakening. It could be more readily accessible telepathy, that kind of idea. And, it's not like, when it started to come about for me, there's still things that I absolutely do not understand about it. It still escapes me. But the one thing that I've found is that it's almost like a natural state. Like, it's not something that's like, super special. And it's like, it's so easy to get caught up in the ego's idea of like, well, this is such an important, I'm so special. Like, it's not really like that. It can be for some. That's how, some people can perceive it and themselves in the process. But it's really just more of an intuitive communication form. And it's also, I think of it as, kind of a natural state as well. Yeah. Kind of a natural state, but that could be something, especially with the connection to that show Sense8. God speaks. The telepathy and intuition again, right? And more of the throat. Yeah. There could be divine messengers coming through, or messages around the solstice, because that's what I heard on the eruption of light in terms of the ice pillars, the light pillars. Do look it up. It's quite stunning, actually. The aurora borealis is more related to the sun, the solar flares. But the light pillars are related to I think it's the ice crystals in the atmosphere and things like that. But there's something about that where I saw that, and then I saw it almost like these sort of like light codes and transmissions. And something about the Schumann resonance is coming through with that. So it could potentially be this sort of like, it's almost like this beautiful show that the planet puts on for us. Okay, so I'm going to pull clarifiers here. I keep looking at this deck in particular. Okay. Aquarius, what on earth is this reading? Austin's tarot. I watched his stuff a lot, and he always is like Aquarius. So you and your UFOs, and like seriously, that's like that's how this is feeling right now. But so the High Priestess came out on Across the Waters, and that's really reinforcing the idea of there could be this intuitive awakening, not just for a person or through someone's work, but I'm getting that this is something that's like more collective oriented. It's a little bit more collective oriented, and I don't think it doesn't mean that things are going to be like waking up en masse and it's going to be like this mayhem. I don't think it's like that. I think that there might be a softening in terms of how intuition is discussed and integrated. It could also just be that more people seek meaning. And that's one of the things that I'm getting off of this High Priestess card is the meaning. Like, it's not just about the information, but it's like the meaning that you make of it and the meaning that you're making for yourself within your life. And how connected to your own wisdom are you? Are you doing things that disconnect you from that source of wisdom within you? Because we all have it, and we all say, oh, my gut instinct. Oh, this, that, and the other thing. But what they're actually saying is that, it's their intuition at work. It's just a language that's more comfortable for them, right? I've said it before of, when I was younger and very heavily involved in the church and things like that, that people would say, like, they were praying. And it's like, well, what happens when God prays back? Like when you get messages back, right? So it's so easy to dismiss it, but I feel like maybe more people will be listening to that in some capacity. Knight of Cups. Yeah. I think it's like moving into, this could also just be as simple as somebody asking you out or going out on a date, aquas. And it's, I think with the High Priestess here, so like that, we're going like from like super collective to like very micro. But this is where it can just be something much more lighthearted, like flirtation. It can just be something that feels nice. But there's something about your intuition that's going to be very important. So like if you get like if the trust your vibes, but also understand that your emotions are within the constellation, if not the gravitational pull that helps things stay in orbit around your intuition. So just keep that in mind as well. Okay. A lot of things just came out there. I was seeing this. I was seeing the Justice card before, but it wasn't loud enough. Anyway, so in terms of sacred convergence, there's a Five of Pentacles. So we have the Five of Pentacles, Justice. We have the Death card, and we also have Knight of Swords and Four of Cups. They all came out together. So what I'm feeling here is this really is this restoration, and I feel like where the Knight of Swords was before was on the main theme here for the collective, where it's like this taking action from a place of grounded pillars of community idea. And it's almost like I get the idea here of this greater expansion of justice. The ninth house energy in the star codes, the astro codes cards at the beginning are coming through, where it's like this expansion on who is included, who matters, right? Like who is included, and how has our sense of justice or our understanding and I guess definition of justice grown to include others? How has it included? There could be policy changes that are set to expand, or it could be at first a contraction that then we understand that we have to transform it. Because it's like if you look to certain systems or people or things, it will let you down, and you will be left with this feeling of boredom. I'm hearing bereft, B-E-R-E-F-T, bereft. Like your vision will feel like it's bereft of something, because it's like you're looking outside of yourself, and that's the transformative capacity. Pluto and Scorpio generation is what's coming to mind here. Especially with the amount of Pluto energy here in terms of rebirth. So it could be that there's a system that's set to experience some kind of rebirth, reset, I'm hearing. Reset. There could be some system that's set to, that's like in the beginning stages of a reset. I'm hearing new norm. especially with this energy here with the Death card, Knight of Swords, and the Four of Cups, like new norm. Like there's something new that's emerging because what's like it hasn't been working, and we see that. So it's like there's an ace that we're turning into something more. It's like that's very biblical. What's coming to mind is where like Jesus would take the fish and multiply them to feed many. And I feel like that's sort of, it's like we're taking the cup and multiplying it or growing it. There's metallurgy, metallurgy. Yes. That's coming through in terms of like, it's like this craft that is expanding the cup. And it's like, it's a long lost craft. It's almost like the consciousness, like the cup that from which we would draw these like across the waters, this deep intuitive knowing, this consciousness. And that's how I'm getting here, this metallurgy, right? The Knight of Cups and the Shakti fire, that base element of creation, right? Most people, most of us, well, all of us actually, well, I don't know, anyways, but it's like the idea that we all came from fire, right? Technically speaking, and then bacteria and all of that stuff as time went on. But it's like that idea of metallurgy, and especially with the cups here, expanding the cups, like some kind of metal work. That's interesting. Okay, Spirit, can you tell me a little bit more about this eruption of light? I could be talking to someone who's a creative that works with metal or wants to. So the eruption of light, we have the Ace of Pentacles and the Lovers. This is coming through as the opportunity to create something new. The opportunity, this is like a grounded opportunity. And it's almost like, I'm hearing ripe for the picking. Because I see this sort of biblical Garden of Eden reference here. And then we have the Ace of Pentacles as like something that's now ripe to pluck from. There's a choice. Yes, the Lover's card tends to represent that. We always have these different choices. But I feel like there's something that is ripe for the choosing that perhaps wasn't there before, and that might be part of this eruption of light for you, where it could be just a light of awareness. Like I'm seeing like a flare up over the water and how it illuminates so much, and then as it falls it disappears. Like there's something like that that's like expanding consciousness, that's like expanding our awareness, so that you can see further. There's like further sight, foresight, rather than hindsight as the reliant or as the reliable source of information. There's something about foresight. Spirit, what messages do you have on God Speaks, please? I'm hearing expanding messengers. King of Cups and the Hierophant. I don't know why I just heard fire water. That's not fire water. This is Taurian energy and King of Cups. Oh, well, I guess it tends to represent Scorpio, so that makes total sense. Thank you, Spirit. This is what you can see the moments where logic tries to be like, him. And then, it's just like the intuition takes back over. But the Hierophant and the King of Cups. This really is God Speaks. Because I feel like this is that sort of religious teacher working through, right, institutions and, again, systems, right, systems changing. And I feel like there's this softening energy that's coming with it. And I feel like it's no longer, like there's like a denial that we can't, there's like it's like a no longer deniable. No longer deniable. And the wheel was on top. That definitely could be a significant change. And it could be through eclipse season. What's coming to mind, two things, actually. This is very interesting. It just sort of like dropped in and then went out. And then it's kind of like been flickering intermittently in my mind. There was a Harvard scientist who said that there was like a cigar-shaped asteroid, and they believed that it was there's a very high probability that it was actually extraterrestrial in origin. And then there's also another story that I read. I think it was on Mike or another news outlet that has it's like reputable or whatever, but talking about how the church is running studies about what would happen to folks or their beliefs if it was found that extraterrestrials were real. So it's almost like they're trying to understand how that would shape collective consciousness. And I don't know why, but that's coming across as like something to do with this here, especially with God speaks. Like there could be something that changes, or like what happens if there's like a new species of something that's discovered on the planet that like changes the way that we see things fundamentally. This could be, I'm hearing Higgs boson, but like the particle accelerator, I think it was. Interesting. At the more grounded level, this could just be, significant change in institutions, and it's being led from or being led by or through a much more emotionally connected place where it's like it's a consideration of why, right? It's a consideration of why, where it connects to our emotions, where it connects to the meaning that we make of things, right? The meaning that we make of things. And there's the Queen of Pentacles reiterating that point about connection to Earth, and Six of Swords, Ten of Pentacles, Hermit. Yeah, it's like there's something about the meaning that we're making. And Aquarius, this could just be a shift in your values, right? A very big shift in your values, and you know what to move towards now. And this is more Virgo energy, to reiterate the Virgo energy here in terms of that, right? Ten of Pentacles can represent a harvest. And I feel like this is not, again, we say often almost like a threat, like you reap what you sow. And it's just, it's just a law, yes. But I feel like there's a way that maybe you're getting different tools. Like I almost see this as like tools that you've acquired on the journey, and you're moving into a place of acquiring different tools. But there's something very important about your connection to the earth. It's almost like it's a source of wisdom, like it lights the lamp, internal lamp, that is. This is coming across as what's in the lamp, the Shakti energy. Aquarius, holy crap. Oh my gosh. What happened? Spirit, what messages do you have for my Aquarians to close out this reading? This is the Notes from the Universe on Love and Connection deck by Mike Dooley. Love it. You'll find what you seek. Whoa, a little bit of a lesson on projection there. But let me read the back to you because I like this one a lot. If you've ever suddenly found and been loved by someone amazing, awesome, fun, and fantastic, chances are astronomical you will again. If you haven't yet found such a person, chances are astronomical you will. It's up to you, the universe. You'll find what you seek. What I like about this message is just that sort of like, it puts you not in the driver's seat, but certainly not outside the projection room, that's for sure. I feel like I want to put into the title of this reading, like, what the fuck is going on? No, I'm kidding. You were born with that it quality. Could be some star seeds that I'm talking to, but you were born with that it quality. So I saw a meme. This is flashing across my mind. I don't know why, but I saw a meme this morning that talked about how the origin of freelance, or like freelance is like literally a knight that is beholden to no one, right? And that was like the original, or supposedly the origins of that have that kind of basis. And I feel like maybe there's like, you could be looking for something. There could be like a freelancing quality to your work. I could be talking to creatives who are all about that. Turn on your love light. That's very reminiscent of these two energies here, Virgo and the star, the Hermit and the star. And it's almost like these could represent even downloads now that I'm looking at it in the context of what the heck just unfolded here. But then this is like, turn on your love light. Like, your wisdom is the light for others. It could be work that you're doing spiritually speaking, but turn on your love light. Sometimes the best way to remain sane is to love like crazy. Works for me, the universe. So yeah, I feel like maybe that's something. Maybe that's a thing. Turn on your love light. You could be going through some self-doubt. Could be talking to someone who is looking at doing more healing modalities or spiritual work, and you're doubting yourself, right? You were born with that quality, and you'll find what you seek. It's not just an assurance that the results will be there or that the outcome will be what you want, but it's also a reminder that it's a projection too. So what you see outside of yourself is often a reflection of inner conditions. And sometimes that sucks. Sometimes it sucks to hear that, because you look around and you're like, oof. Because it means that other people might see what work needs to be done, and it's like, no one likes to have their mess on display, right? Because then it means that you're human, right? Or that people can see that you're tender places, and that can be really vulnerable making. But I can assure you that there's nothing more vulnerable making. You're not invulnerable when you keep all these things to yourself, if you're meant to expand and grow. So Aquarius, this reading is super long. This is like officially one of the longest readings I've ever done, but worth it. And also, I guess the solstice, I don't know why, winter solstice, December 21st, 2022. Could be December 22nd, 2022. Something about the twos, but anyway, that is your reading. If this resonated, give it a like and subscribe. It helps me to continue to grow the channel. And as always, wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, I hope I'll find you very, very well, my friends. Take care.